Atiku Abubakar just went on national television, Arise TV, and said something that nobody in the ADC expected. He said he is willing to step aside for Peter Obi. Then, in the same breath, he turned around and declared that the North actually deserves the presidency more than the South in 2027, using his own math to back it up. Peter Obi, get ready to bolt. That's not even my line. That is what the presidency literally said, word for word. So here is the question nobody is properly asking. Is Atiku Abubakar uniting this opposition coalition, or is he quietly and cleverly dismantling it from the inside? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will see this whole situation completely differently. Before we go deeper, if you are just finding Nigerian news feed, welcome. This channel exists to break down what's really happening in Nigerian politics, without the noise, without the spin, and without anyone paying us to take a side. We follow the money, the power, and the facts. Hit that subscribe button right now. It is literally the only way you can support this channel and help us keep doing this work for you. It costs you nothing. It means everything to us. Subscribe and stay with me because this one gets very interesting. Alright, let us set the stage. On April 14 and 15, 2026, this week, two major things happened almost back to back. First, the ADC, African Democratic Congress, held its national convention at the Rainbow Event Center in Abuja. Over 3,000 delegates showed up. Peter Obi was there, Atiku was there, Kwankwaso was there, Rotimi Amaechi was there, David Mark, Rauf Aregbesola, all of them, under one roof, under the theme, "So the nation may work." That convention was not supposed to happen easily. Before it even started, Atiku had gone on record alleging that there was a plot by powerful forces, his words, to revoke the license of the Rainbow Event Center and shut the whole thing down before it started. He called it, quote, "a thousand petty, vindictive acts against opposition parties," end quote. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike denied giving any such order, but the accusation had already landed in the public. Second, on April 15, 2026, Atiku sat down with Charles Aniagolu on Arise TV and dropped a series of statements that immediately exploded across political circles. He said consensus, not a primary, should determine the ADC's 2027 presidential candidate. He said he would support whoever emerged, including Peter Obi. He declared this would be his last presidential run. He said NNPP was part of the ADC coalition, and critically, he argued, using his own calculation of years in power, that the North actually has a legitimate claim to the presidency in 2027. Every single one of those statements landed like a grenade in different directions, and the responses came fast and brutal. The presidency fired back within hours. NNPP denied being in the coalition within 24 hours, and social media lit up with Nigerians debating whether Atiku is building a coalition or quietly positioning himself to lead it. That is what triggered everything you are about to hear. Now, let us talk about the structure, because without understanding this, the politics makes no sense. The ADC, African Democratic Congress, became the main opposition umbrella platform starting in July 2025. It was adopted as a coalition vehicle for opposition figures seeking to challenge President Bola Tinubu in 2027. Peter Obi joined officially from Labour Party around December 2026 to January 2026. Kwankwaso came in from NNPP. Atiku, Amaechi, El Rufai, Tambuwal, Aregbesola, all of them under one roof, under the theme, "So the nation may work." But here's the problem. The party has a serious structural wound that has not healed. INEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, suspended recognition of the ADC's leadership structure following a Court of Appeal ruling that questioned how David Mark and Rauf Aregbesola emerged into the party's National Working Committee. With that recognition suspended, INEC will not formally deal with the party until the courts resolve the dispute. That means ADC cannot conduct official congresses in several states. It cannot submit certain documents INEC requires, and if the crisis drags past critical election deadlines, any candidate fielded under the ADC could face serious legal exposure. Here is the gray area being exploited. Nigerian electoral law gives INEC regulatory powers over political parties, but courts can override INEC's decisions and vice versa. So you have a situation where ADC is proceeding as if everything is fine, holding conventions, making noise, while technically operating under a cloud of institutional uncertainty. Sources close to the matter say opposition leaders are even quietly exploring fallback platforms, including the APP and the NDC, in case the ADC's legal situation becomes irredeemable before 2027.
This is where the real story lives. Let us break down what each of the three main actors is actually doing, because nobody is saying what they mean. Atiku Abubakar. On the surface, Atiku is being the elder statesman. He is saying consensus, unity, support for whoever emerges, step aside if necessary. He is even saying 2027 is his last outing. Very humble, very magnanimous. But look at what he actually did on that Arise TV interview. He included NNPP as a member of the ADC coalition. NNPP fired back within 24 hours and said that is false. Kwankwaso as an individual joined ADC. NNPP as a party has not. Why does that matter? Because if NNPP is part of the coalition in perception, it strengthens the northern numerical weight of the coalition and strengthens the argument for a northern presidential candidate, which is Atiku. Then, he argues that based on his math, years spent in power, the North is owed the presidency. The presidency's spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, called this dubious political arithmetic, and he said, and I quote, the spirit of it, Atiku is now sounding like the presumed ADC candidate. Peter Obi, get ready to vote. Now think about that. The ruling APC spokesperson is publicly sending a message to Peter Obi inside the opposition's own coalition. They are essentially pouring fuel on the fire of the zoning debate inside ADC because a fractured opposition is a weaker opponent. And Dele Momodu, ADC chieftain and media personality, has come out to say the best ticket is Atiku and Obi together, just like 2019. Echoing that 2019 alliance, which means Obi at the bottom again. Peter Obi. Peter Obi has been quieter, but his camp is not quiet at all. His coordinator, Tanko Yunusa of the Obedient Movement, has said clearly the presidency must return to the south. Zoning is non-negotiable, and once it is zoned south, Obi should be the flag bearer with Kwankwaso as his running mate. Obi is also making diplomatic moves that are very deliberate. On April 16, 2026, just this week, Peter Obi was meeting UK, EU, Canadian and French diplomats in Abuja, one day after the convention. Why? He is building international credibility. He is positioning himself not just as a domestic candidate, but as someone foreign capitals can do business with. That is a serious move. Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso is the most interesting player. He left NNPP, a party he built, and came to ADC. Why? Because NNPP was collapsing. Kano Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, the only NNPP governor, was about to defect to APC. Without Kano's governor, the NNPP loses its only structural pillar. So, Kwankwaso came to ADC with the Kwankwasia movement, his personal loyal base, which delivered him Kano in 2023. His supporters are openly endorsing an Obi Kwankwaso ticket, meaning Kwankwaso as vice. But Kwankwaso's movement in Kano is what gives him leverage. Without that leverage, he is just another politician without a platform. The silent players. Former President Obasanjo has been confirmed, through his own spokesman, to still be backing Peter Obi's presidential ambition. He has not issued a public statement at the ADC convention, but his support is known and active. Babangida's position on Obi Kwankwaso. His sources say he has not taken a clear position. That alone is interesting. When Babangida is watching quietly, it usually means he is calculating which side to board. And then there's Wike, FCT minister and Tinubu's political enforcer in Abuja. He told Atiku publicly on April 16th there is no space for him in 2027. He can wait till 2027. Wike is not just a minister, he is a political signal. When Wike says no space, it means the APC is not afraid of a fragmented opposition. They are actually counting on it. Later in this video, I will tell you the one scenario that could actually make all three of these men, Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso, irrelevant before 2027 even arrives. Stay with me. Now, if what I just laid out is surprising you, drop a comment below. Tell me, who do you think is actually in charge of this ADC coalition? Atiku, Obi, or nobody? I want to read your take before we get to the part that changes the whole picture. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do it right now. I do not run ads, I do not take money from political camps. Your subscription is literally the only way to help this channel grow and keep delivering this kind of analysis to you for free. Press subscribe, it's right there. Let us zoom out. What does all of this mean for Nigeria? First, the zoning question is not just political, it is constitutional in feeling, if not in law. Nigeria's constitution does not mandate north-south power rotation, but there is a deeply embedded political norm, a gentleman's agreement that alternation prevents conflict and whoever breaks it pays a price. Atiku broke it in 2023 when he ran against a fellow Northerners' legacy candidate in the PDP. The party cracked, he lost badly. Now he is trying to break it again, this time with a mathematical argument that the North has fewer cumulative years of power since 1999. This debate will inflame regional tensions within the ADC and give APC propaganda ammunition to paint the opposition as incoherent and self-serving. Second, the economic context matters here. Ordinary Nigerians are not watching ADC conventions because they love political drama. They are watching because the Tinubu administration's economic record, fuel subsidy removal, multiple exchange rate unification, rising food prices, power sector instability has created genuine hardship. Opposition politics only matters to voters if the opposition can present a credible alternative. And a fractured ADC cannot do that. A united ADC with a clear candidate and message may be, but right now the coalition's internal noise is drowning its economic message. Third, if the ADC's INEC crisis is not resolved, the entire coalition could collapse before it even fields a candidate. This is not a small risk. Political insiders are already naming fallback parties. If the parties' congresses are invalidated by courts, if INEC refuses to certify their primaries, every aspirant in that coalition, Atiku, Obi, Kwankwaso, Amechi, all of them, could end up without a legal platform to contest on. Think about this. It would mean that Nigeria's most dramatic opposition story in years, all these heavyweights, all this energy, all this noise, ends not because of an election, but because of a court ruling and an INEC administrative decision. Democracy strangled quietly while everyone was arguing about zoning. There's a genuine international dimension to this story, and it's worth understanding. Peter Obi met with UK, EU, Canadian and French diplomats in Abuja on April 16, 2026. That is not a casual lunch. Foreign missions do not meet with opposition politicians unless they are calculating whether that politician has a realistic chance of power or unless they are sending a signal to the incumbent. In diplomatic language, these meetings serve two purposes. First, Obi is building what diplomats call government-in-waiting credibility. Second, the presence of Western missions signals that major democracies are watching how Nigeria's opposition is being treated, including reports of alleged attempts to disrupt the ADC convention. Atiku himself used the language of democratic suppression. He said, democracies are strangled by 1,000 petty, vindictive acts. That is language designed for international ears as much as domestic. Nigeria's opposition coalition going to the court of international opinion is a double-edged sword. If they look credible, it strengthens their hand. If they look fractured and incompetent from outside, foreign investors and multilateral institutions will factor that instability into their decisions about Nigeria, and that has consequences for the economy right now, not just in 2027.
For Nigerians in the diaspora, watch what these Western capitals say, or more importantly, what they don't say about Tinubu's administration over the next 6 months. Silence is not neutrality, it is calculation.
Let me address what people are getting wrong about this story. Misconception number 1. Atiku said he will step aside, so the ticket is going to Peter Obi. Not so fast. Atiku said he will support whoever wins a consensus process, but he is also one of the people helping to define what that consensus process looks like, and he argues the North deserves the presidency by his own math. He is not stepping aside, he is positioning. There is a big difference. Misconception number 2. Kwankwaso joining ADC means NNPP is now behind ADC. NNPP has officially denied this in a formal statement the same week. Kwankwaso as an individual, along with his personal movement, crossed over. NNPP as a party has not. Anyone who tells you NNPP is in the ADC coalition is either confused or spinning. Misconception number 3. The Obi-Kwankwaso ticket is already decided. Nothing is decided. The ADC has not announced a presidential candidate. The party says consensus is still being worked out, and if that fails, there will be direct primaries. 3 powerful egos, Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso, are in the same room, all with different ideas of what the final arrangements should look like. That is not a done deal. That is a negotiation on fire. Misconception number 4. The APC is not worried about this coalition. Wrong. If they were not worried, they would ignore it. The presidency is spending significant energy, publicly responding, sending signals through Wike, questioning Atiku's math, and even telling Peter Obi to prepare to leave ADC. When the ruling party spokesperson dedicates multiple statements to an opposition coalition, they are worried. They are trying to deepen the cracks. The strongest argument for the coalition's optimism: in 2023, Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso combined got more total votes than Tinubu. The argument is, if those votes unite under one candidate, APC is beatable. That is mathematically interesting. Where it falls apart: votes in Nigeria are not transferable like tokens. Atiku's northern traditional voter base, Obi's urban youth base, and Kwankwaso's Kano bloc have different motivations, different grievances, and different mobilization structures. Merging them on paper is easy. Getting them to all turn out for the same candidate on election day, that is a completely different problem. Earlier, I said there is a scenario where all 3 men, Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso, become irrelevant before 2027 even arrives. Here it is. If the ADC's INEC crisis is not legally resolved before the party register submission deadline, every Congress they have conducted, including the April 15th convention, risks being declared invalid. That means no legal primaries, no certified candidate. And because of Nigerian electoral law, once you have contested under a party, you cannot simply walk into another party and contest. The coalition could end up trapped on a sinking ship, legally unable to abandon it in time. Insiders say emergency meetings were planned for right after Easter, that is now. Watch for news out of Abuja in the coming days about what those consultations produce. What to watch for in the next 60 days. Number 1, court rulings on the ADC leadership dispute. If the courts resolve in favor of the David Mark Arigbesola faction, INEC will likely restore recognition. If they rule against, the fallback party scenario becomes urgent. Number 2, whether Kwankwaso makes a formal public declaration about his presidential or VP ambition. His silence so far is deliberate. When he speaks formally, the picture clarifies. Number 3, Peter Obi's formal declaration. He has been diplomatic and attending events, but he has not formally declared for president under ADC. Watch for that. It will be a major signal. Number 4, Wike's next move. The FCT minister has been an APC weapon against this coalition. Whether he physically blocks more events or escalates the pressure diplomatically tells you how seriously APC takes the threat. Number 5, whether Obasanjo enters publicly. He backed Obi in 2023 openly. If he issues a public statement endorsing a specific ticket or arrangement in ADC, the dynamics shift fast. Best case scenario, courts resolve the ADC crisis, INEC restores recognition, the coalition agrees on a consensus candidate, most likely Obi for president with Kwankwaso as VP. That is a formidable ticket.
Worst case scenario, the legal crisis drags on, Atiku and Obi both insist on the top ticket, no consensus is reached, primaries are chaotic and contested, the losing side walks out, the coalition splinters, and APC enters 2027 with 28 governors and a united party structure against the broken opposition. The real competition in 2027 is not between APC and ADC. It is between the ADC's ability to manage its own internal egos and its own legal survival before it even gets to face APC. The battle for 2027 is being fought right now in courtrooms, in Abuja hotels, and in WhatsApp groups. And most Nigerians are watching the surface noise and missing the real fight underneath. I opened this video by asking, is Atiku uniting this opposition coalition or quietly dismantling it from the inside? Here is my honest answer. Atiku is doing what Atiku has always done. He is positioning. He is keeping every door open while appearing to be the magnanimous elder. The "I will step aside" statement is a political tool, not a political commitment. And his zoning arithmetic, however controversial, signals that he has not let go of his own presidential ambition. But here is the deeper truth. Even if Atiku is playing games, the coalition still has a chance, because the underlying mathematics of the 2023 votes, the genuine public anger at the Tinubu administration's economic record, and the diplomatic groundwork Obi is laying, all of that creates real opportunity. Whether that opportunity becomes reality depends entirely on whether these three men, Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso, can put their egos in a room, lock the door, and come out with one name. History is watching, and honestly, so is the APC. And that might be the only thing that saves this coalition from itself. What is your take? Can this coalition survive its own internal tension? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you've gotten real clarity on what is happening, not the noise, but the actual moves being made, do me one favor. Share this video with one person who needs to understand this. Just one person. That is how we grow this community. And if you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, please, I am asking you directly, hit subscribe right now. It's the only way to support Naija Newsfeed. I don't run ads on this channel. I don't take money from politicians. The only thing that keeps this going is your subscription and your engagement. So subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay informed. This is Naija Newsfeed.